Welcome, ladies and gents. This is Chris coming to you from Story Traders, and today we're going to be covering support and resistance. Let's get into it. So, what is support and resistance? Well, support and resistance is based around where we actually see support and resistance from a price action standpoint. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this chart as an example. When this asset, which happens to be Bitcoin, is going down from the beginning, we're doing price discovery because what it's doing is it's trying to find support. It's trying to find a level that it'll get held at, which basically means buyers are coming in and saying, this is low enough, it's cheap to me, I see it being worth more, so I'm going to come in and buy it, assuming I'll be able to sell it in the future for a higher price. So we'll show it here and we'll kind of just walk it through. So from this point we go massive drop down, and we looks like we had some potential support at 5,600, but it kept going down. So at this point we'll kind of start to draw some lines. So as we could see in this area, it looked like it might be held as support, but obviously it did not hold. So what we're looking for is we're looking for multiple touches to basically establish a line, which would then be support. It would then be dubbed as support. And if it gets hit more than twice, then it starts to become potentially a stronger form of price resistance. So when we're going down, we start to get to this level, and initially we get a few touches right in this area. So you might be thinking, okay, this is a 4-hour bar. It looks like we're here for most of the day, and then we start to go up. So that could potentially be support. So when price gets to a point where it's no longer going up, but it's coming back down, we're looking to see that new support line get tested. So if we draw it out, we can see that it did not hold. It went below it, and then when it tried to go back above it, it couldn't do so. So it decided to continue going down. Now, when a support line is broken, a lot of times in the future, that now becomes resistance. So we're just going to continue drawing this out. You can kind of see what I mean. But what happens is once we find a point that is established from a price action standpoint, and it gets at least 2 touches, it becomes established as support. So in this picture, you can use it in any time frame, but it becomes a stronger support or a stronger resistance line if it's on a bigger time frame. So this one's 4 hours. It's a pretty big time frame. So we're going to establish this as a pretty hard support for it to break. If it breaks it in the future, that's pretty meaningful, is all that means. Now, when we go back up, as I mentioned before, the previous line that was support is now turned resistance. So when you see when price action goes back up, we get to that point and we wait to see if it'll hold, and it actually does. So then the price drops back down. So now we have 1, 2, almost 3 or 4 hits against that line from either side, establishing that that price point is very meaningful. So with this line that is now established as resistance, we're going to be looking for it to find new support before it can try to go up and break that. So let's keep this going. So this continues to go down, and we'll pause it. So as you can see, as you can see here, if we extend this line out, which was previously support, is no longer support. It was broken. So what does it become? resistance. So let's draw this out. And as you can see, when we extend the line, it didn't even get solid price action up to the line. It just got one wick through it. So we know that at the current point in time is not breaking. So we have now established a new line for support down here, and we just draw that out. And it currently looks like we got our two touches, so that confirms that it is support. And let's see where it goes. Oh, it broke. So it broke. What does that mean? It now becomes resistance. So let's extend the line out. Now, at this point, it looks like we go down beneath it, but we don't stay down very long, and we quickly blast through it, at least on the 4-hour chart. So, because we moved through this very quickly, you can start to degrade it as far as how strong that level is, because if it went through it very quickly, then I would argue that if price ends up turning back around, it could fall through it just as quickly as well. So I wouldn't necessarily count on it as much to hold as support. Let's keep having this go forward. So here we keep moving up, and now we've established some new price highs. Let's see if we can draw this out. So here's a previous line, which it broke. So let's try to move that up. This is the line that we're looking for. We might as well just extend this one. And as you can see, we have not broken it yet. So this line is still very meaningful as resistance. So what it's doing now is the price action is going back down to find a new support level, and because it didn't go all the way down to where we had previously drawn one, we know that the asset in this example, Bitcoin, has some strength to it because it didn't completely retrace to the previous support level. So we're going to draw a small line right here, and let's see where it goes. Boom. So you can see that this point was the furthest it retraced. So that's a potential area for some support. Again, we'd want to see a second touch, but that's definitely an area you can look for. And we can actually replicate that for all of these points. Because what we're looking for is if this asset does decide to retrace, we want to get comfortable to a point where we think there's going to be some strong price action or buyers coming in for support. Because what that allows us to do is if we're bullish on the asset, we can then place a stop below that line. And what that does is it protects us in our trade. So if we buy it at the current price, which is $4,021, because we think it's going to go to $5,000, then we can buy it here, but we could put a stop down beneath the previous support level as protection. Because if we believe it truly is support, then it should hold. If it breaks, then we know our current trade is made invalid and we don't know how far it's going to drop. So we'll want to have that protection with the stop. We can get into stops more in another video, but this pretty much covers the basics of support and resistance. That covers support and resistance. If you have any further questions on this topic, make sure to leave them in that comment section below. We'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you do have. We'll be coming out with another video tomorrow that will be, again, 5 to 10 minutes in length like we do every day. And if you have any topics you'd like us to cover, you can also drop that in the comments section. While you're here, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you do not miss a future video. My name is Chris, and this is Story Traders. See you next time.